Hello, this is the Ramblings of an Undisciplined Mind podcast for Wednesday, May 4th, 2016. As of this recording, Sierra is still missing. Happy Star Wars Day! May the 4th be with you. So, today, as it turns out, is the culmination of a journey that the wife and I have been on for quite some time. About 7 years ago, the college where she works, every year they do this thing called the Partnership Dinner, and it's a big fundraising dinner. They have it at the Swank Hotel here, or one of the Swank hotels here. And, you know, tickets are around the neighborhood of $125 a pop. And we went, you know, we don't always go, and now that she's faculty and full-time there, she actually gets a free ticket. So, like, she went last month. I did not go because we were saving money for the reason I'm going to talk about. But we went this one year because Dave Ramsey was going to be there. I didn't know much about Dave going in. I knew he was a Christian. I knew he was a finance guy, and that he was on the radio. And that is about all I knew about him. So we thought, well, all right, you know, it's a name. It's a name I've heard of, and he's coming to speak, and, you know, locally, so we get to see a famous person. Be in the same room with a famous person. Why not? I don't get to do that very often. So we went to it, and he laid out his plan for getting out of debt. And you talked about a number of things, but that was part of it. So we got out of that, and we're like, you know, something about what he was saying really struck a nerve. So we bought his major bestseller, which is in at least 3 printings, called The Total Money Makeover. And we both read that book and said, that's really cool. This is something that is worth doing. And then we also started, I'm not totally sure on the timing of these. I know we read the book first, but he also, I think around the same time, he was doing a Total Money Makeover event here in the Detroit area. It was actually in Canton, which is about 45 minutes from here, or from the house, I should say. And we went, and that was like at this hockey rink, sports arena kind of thing. And that was really cool. And he talked through his whole plan, and you go from soup to nuts in one day, and they've got you can buy all his merchandise there. And he actually has this, he facilitates this course, or he wrote this course really, called Financial Peace University. And people will act as coordinators for this. It's DVD-based training. And you will, you know, it's various people will agree to be coordinators for this thing, and they'll hold it at their churches or at typically some public venue. I don't know if people hold it in their homes. I suppose it's possible, but usually it's some neutral venue. And so we bought the kit there. You buy this kit, and then it's got a book, and it's got CDs of the DVD lectures and some other materials for the course. And we went to a Financial Peace University class that lasted, at the time, I think it lasted 13 weeks. He since dropped it down to 9, last I knew. So we started embarking on this plan. And so, you know, his background is when he was young, he's probably pushing 60 at this point. But when he was a young man, early, mid-20s, probably mid to late 20s actually, he was in real estate speculation. And he was, buying real estate on credit, and he was doing some flipping, and he was owning properties, and he was doing really well. He was making a lot of money, but he was also leveraged very heavily. There was a lot of debt, and an economic downturn took place. And he was still in his 20s, I think. He was like in his late 20s. And the banks were kind of like, oh, we got a lot of money loaned out to this guy. And it kind of makes us nervous. And things are kind of going belly up here. So we're going to call the loans. Well, he didn't have enough cash to pay all these loans, millions of dollars for the loans. So he lost everything. He was married, he had kids, and they pretty much lost everything that they owned. They had to declare bankruptcy. They had to start over. And he came out of that saying to himself that having credit is a risk I'm not going to live with. We're not going to do that anymore. And so he devised this whole plan for how to live and how to eliminate debt. And some of it is stuff, he pulls some things from other sources. But he makes it a nice, comprehensive plan. And so it's calls them baby steps, because you're supposed to do them in small baby steps. And I don't know that, I didn't look it up today, so I'll do these from memory, and we'll see what I can remember. So baby step 1 is get a mini emergency fund. So if you're a couple, that's $1,000. If you are a single person or very low income, that's $500. And then baby step 2 is to work the debt snowball. And so the debt snowball, and this is actually a concept that other people have written about. I believe Warren Buffett has. There are some people that will say that if you're attacking all your debts, you should worry about the big interest ones first and work your way down. And he takes a different approach, because he understands that the reason, it's a big behavioral change. Especially if you're somebody that's got a lot of credit cards, you got a lot of debt, and you're used to living on debt, that's a big behavioral change for you to say, okay, we're going to eliminate all this. We're not going to add any more debt, and we're going to pay off what we have. That's a big change to lifestyle. And so the method he uses, once again, other people may use this exact method too. Doesn't matter. It doesn't take away from the validity of the method. Is that you order your debts. You list your debts in order from smallest to largest, as far as the payoff amount, the amount owed. And the reason for that is that hopefully you're going to have some that are relatively small amounts, and that will get you some quick wins. And then that way you get that feeling of success, and it's called a snowball because you take the money that was going on the first one, and then you start applying that to the second one. And so if you make minimum payments on all of them, and you knock out the first one, and then you can be making the minimum payment on the second one plus whatever extra that you were putting on the first one. And it kind of builds up as far as how much money you can allocate to each of them as the list gets smaller. So that's for every debt except mortgages, typically. And then baby step 3 is to finish your emergency fund. And at that point, because you're debt free except for the house. So finish your emergency fund, 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, whatever that works out to be for each individual person or couple. And then that was 3, right? Yeah, 3. So baby step 4 then is to start planning. Let's see. Is to start planning for retirement. Start saving for retirement. And then the next baby step is to pay off the house. To work on paying off the house. And then after that, the last baby step, which I think is baby step 6, or it might be 7. I might have missed one. I don't remember. Is to, at that point everything's paid off. And so the point is to build wealth and give it away. And so we embarked upon this process. And part of it is doing a budget. Budgeting is very important. And to do a monthly budget and to do it together. Now, we don't have to put it together, if you will. But, he was really important. If you got one person that's a numbers person and one person that's not a numbers person, then by all means let the numbers person put the budget together, or at least do like the first draft of the budget. But then you both discuss it. And you do a new one every month. Because stuff's going to happen. Some months are going to be different from other months. And you may even have to adjust the budget mid-month, especially early on. But once you get used to it and get it kind of locked down, it's fairly straightforward thing to do. And so we embarked on this process of doing budgets together. The wife still does them. She's the numbers person. We did do a time where I did it for like 3 or 4 months, just so I could understand the process. So like if I had to do it for some reason, I could. But any budgetary decisions we make together, we go over the budget at least once a month. And what Dave says is give every dollar a name. So if you usually make $3,000 over the course of the month, allocate out what's going to go where, and then stick to that. One of the things he's big on is what's called the envelope system, where you put in an envelope, so if you've got $200 a month for groceries or $400 a month for groceries, you stick that in an envelope, and that's your grocery money for the month. So if you run out 3 weeks in, you're not buying any more groceries. Maybe you got to just eat what's in the pantry at home, or maybe you need to cut back on what you're buying. And it takes a little more planning and forethought. And we actually use that. We use that for a number of things. We don't use it for everything. Obviously, you can't use that for stuff you buy on Amazon. But we buy the majority of our groceries that way. Cat food, things that over-the-counter drugs, and eating out money, because we still allocate some money to eating out, because we enjoy that. So do it, but that way we know if we're out of eating out money for the month that, well, we're not eating out until the 1st. That's just that's part of the discipline. It's a discipline thing. So we started on this, and we did the Financial Peace University. I probably want to say, let's see, so 7 years ago from today would be 2009. Wow. I would have thought it was earlier than that, but okay, we'll roll with it. So one of the things that happened to me is, we started on this, we're paying off debts. We didn't have a ton of we didn't have a ton of credit card debts, but we had a student loan debt for the daughter. I think maybe we had one car loan at that point. So we did have some stuff to clear up. And right about the time, as we're working on this, 2009 happened. In 2009 here in Detroit and into 2010, was a horrible month. Because, the automotive industry went practically toes up. And where I was working, we had a flat percentage decrease on our pay. We had a furlough week, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then during the summer months of 2009, we only worked 4-day weeks, which was awesome. But we only got paid for 4-day weeks. The time off, though, was awesome, I will say. And when I got my W-2 that year, the first two numbers have flip-flopped. And that indicated a reduction. I was calculating it out this morning in my head of around, conservatively, 15% drop in my pay for that year. Now, we got out of that and we got into 2010. They put it back up to those levels. But what the budgeting thing with Dave Ramsey did was we made it through that. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of extra money. We probably didn't do a lot of eating out. We were down to bare essentials, but we were never out of money. We were still working on paying off loans throughout all that. And I don't think we would have come through that nearly as well if we hadn't gotten into Dave Ramsey stuff and doing the budgeting. So, you know, we've done all the debts. And we've done the emergency fund, and so we started working on the house. We've been working on the house 4 years, maybe. And then this year, well, actually, it was like mid last year. We decided, you know, we're doing good on the house on getting it paid down, but you know, we could probably accelerate this thing. It probably hasn't. Probably about the first year. If we really do what Dave Ramsey calls going on beans and rice, which is just the thought process of, especially more so when you're doing the first debt snowball, that you're eating beans and rice because it's cheap and you can make a lot of it for very little. He said when they were building their way back up out of the hole that his going bankrupt caused, his wife made a tuna fish sandwich for him every day. And to this day, he can't eat a tuna fish sandwich because it's the smell of it will take him back to that time when they were poor, they were struggling. And we decided to kind of do a modified beans and rice kind of thing. We really define, okay, we set a menu rotation, a 2-week menu rotation, and we really said, you know, we've got this stuff that we eat, meals that we eat anyway, but they're pretty cheap to do. Let's limit it to this. So we stopped buying steaks at Costco. We stopped buying salmon at Costco. Some of the more higher priced things we might do occasionally. We said we're going to cut that out. I stopped buying Diet Coke to drink around the house. You know, so a lot of stuff that we could live without, we really trimmed down as much as we could. And so that we could put even more on the house than what we were, because the goal was to get the house paid off this year. In fact, the goal was to get this house paid off in time that part of the celebration would be a trip to Las Vegas in October to go to Siglerfest. That should be happening now. That will be happening. So, kind of the conclusion to all this, almost 20 minutes later, is today we paid off the house. We've been looking to see when it's going to be, and we realized that we could actually get it done this month. So the wife had to call them, and they got to do their paperwork stuff, but they've applied our last payment, and we are now 100% debt free. So on his radio show, people can call in when they're debt free, and you can do debt free without the house, or totally debt free. And he gives them a moment to celebrate and to yell, I'm debt free. So we are at that point. We have got zero debt. Now, we do have 2 credit cards. The balance on both, nothing, zero. Every month, all the time. Well, We use them like debit cards. You know, if we put $1,000 on it, it's because we know we have to spend $1,000 a month this month, and we're gonna, when the bill comes in, we pay it off 100%, and there's no interest when you do that. So, and then, you know, you get the perks for it. So it's kind of like, you know, the majority of people don't do that, which is why they let people like us get away with it, because otherwise they wouldn't, because, you know, they're not really making money off of us. Yeah, they're making a little bit because there's the fee that the stores pay, but they're not making a ton of money. So yeah, that's kind of the story. We actually taught Financial Peace University for a year and a half. Kind of put that aside, partially because of my schooling. Who knows if we might pick that up again at some point. We've actually been to Dave Ramsey's studios in, I think it's Brentwood, Tennessee. When we were going to, we took a detour down there. We got to meet him and get our picture taken with him, and get his name and get him to autograph a book for us and all that kind of nonsense. So he's got some really good concepts, and I see a lot of people struggling with money, and you know, he may not have the only answers, but he has a good plan, and he has a workable plan, and you know, they give you a lot of, you know, yeah, they're making money off it, they're selling books, they're selling the courses, but they're also, you know, they have a free budgeting tool you can use on the website, and if you need examples of forms for how to, you know, for a budget form, or maybe for a budget form if you've got a variable income, they've got examples in the back of the book, and I think they've got like Excel templates you can download off the website for free. So yeah, it is worthwhile. It's definitely worthwhile. It's made a major difference in our lives, not only financially, but it got us talking about things that, when we first got into financial peace and all that, it got us talking about things that we really didn't talk about much, and it drew us closer together as a couple, to the point where we could really say, okay, as a couple, this is our goal, this is what we want to do to work toward that, and it worked. You know, our house is 100% ours now. Every time the value goes up, that's hitting our net worth. So every penny that I make, we get to decide how it's used, because we are not beholden to anybody as far as where it must go from a legal sense. Yes, I'm going to pay the electric bill. We want electricity. Yes, we're going to pay the water bill. We want water. Yes, we're going to pay the gas bill because we like hot water. You know, but if we really want to rough it for some stupid reason, we can cancel those things. But you know, the intention is that we're done with that. We're not going to ever have something that we're making payments on in the future. And it's a really great feeling. I mean, because now is the fun part. Now we don't have to worry about how are we going to pay for things, because we will have money. You know, Dave got this thing he says at one point there where he says, you know, what's in my wallet? Cash! And that's going to be us. It's going to be exciting. I think it's going to give us a nice boost. You know, we're going to be able to chunk some more away in preparation for retirement, which is not that far, given I'm 53. But we're also looking to start being able to do some travel. We have a travel list as long as my arm of either places that we've been to before that we want to go back to, or new places that we haven't been to that we want to get to. And so we're going to be able to do a lot of that now, because we're done paying it, and you know, the house is totally ours. So we don't have to make that payment every month anymore. So that's even more money that we can either save, invest, or we can do whatever we want to do with it. The possibilities are endless, and that's the amazing thing and the cool thing. So I thought I'd share that with you about that. I've actually been saving this topic. This is we're at like 490 or something episodes. I've not talked about Dave Ramsey all this time. I've saved this topic for this day. So yeah, it's really exciting. If it's something you think you might be interested in, by all means, check it out. There's a lot of information on this website. It's DaveRamsey.com, spelled how you would imagine. I'll put a link in the show notes if I remember. I'll do my best to remember. But it's a really good plan. It's a really good plan. I think it's very doable, and it's very easy to conceptualize, and it's easy to get into the habit of doing what you need to do in order to succeed with your finances, which is an area, a lot of us didn't have a whole lot of experience in that area, because like we don't necessarily learn about how to do a budget from parents, and at least when I went to high school, they never covered that kind of crud there. I don't know if they do today. He's actually created a high school curriculum that some high schools use on this whole thing. So yeah, check it out. Check out the Total Money Makeover book. It's still out there. It's not very expensive. I don't know what the ebook is, but I'd be hard pressed to think that the ebook is more than about $10. Or buy a used copy off of Amazon or something. It's an easy to read book. It's not like reading a finance textbook at all. So yeah, I would recommend it. If you have a question, put a comment in. I'll do my darndest to answer it. I'll get out my Total Money Makeover book and tell you what he says about X. But yeah, it's a big day. It's an important day. One that we've been looking forward to for years. And now we're here. So that's cool. Anyway, I am going to end this. I will be back tomorrow, and I will be talking to you then. So, be seeing you.